We're on.
Fantastic. Zach,
There we go.
how we doing, mate?
Really good, mate.
Yeah.
Finally.
Got it in the end, mate.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
Been a long time coming.
It has, mate. It's you know, I've spoke to a lot of people now, and the conversations that me and you have had over the last, 6 months, even maybe longer, you know, you can tell that you've got a good insight as to what I believe addiction is, and you know, more importantly, what you believe it is. There's a lot of debates and narrative around what addiction is, and like we were saying before, some people think it's a disease, some people think it's this, and you know, it used to piss me off that, but now I don't really care. As long as the people in recovery are doing the right things to benefit themselves, you know, it's horses for courses, isn't it? But
yeah, I think like whatever works for you.
Yeah.
If you've made a decision to stop drinking and taking drugs, then fair play. Like whatever works.
Yeah.
Like for me, I've been in recovery for coming up to 3 years, and I seen Break Free on social media for quite a while, watched their posts while I was still in addiction and was desperate to reach out, but this voice in my head kept saying, yeah, you know, you're not that bad and all that sort of stuff. You know, you can't do that. You don't need help. You're not that mad. And then certain things started happening in my life, and I was like, there's not long left if I carry on doing the things I was doing. So one of the things was I went out drink driving in my car. I was trying to stop drinking on my own. Went and watched my old football team play football. They had a good result. Next thing you know, it was just nip in the pub and have one. And then it was like 7 or 8 drinks down the line. Then it was go and get cocaine. And then it was crash my car, driving to get cocaine, running away from police, you know. Sat there sort of thinking, what am I doing with my life? You know, I wish I was dead here. And that was in the October of 2022. And then, because I never got in any trouble with the police on that night, I reached out that night to break free. But because I never got any trouble with the police, so I basically got paid off for my car straight away. Bought a new car. I was like, right, sound. My addiction had me again then. So it was like, because I got a new car, I was thinking like, oh, I've got a new car now. I'm not going to drink and take drugs. This is a nice new car. But then within weeks, I was doing the same thing again. And then it was like, it was coming up to Christmas. I reached out to a few friends. I'll say friends. I reached out to some people and said, listen, I'm struggling here. Like, I'm going to kill myself. And some of the replies that I got were like, oh, just get through Christmas, sort it out next year. And it's just like, I needed to take action. And then I joined Break Free in the December of 2022. First meeting was at the end of December, 28th of December, which is sort of like my date, I suppose. Don't really count the days, but...
I don't count, but mine's the 26th of December.
There we go.
Yeah.
So it's quite a common thing, I think, people after Christmas.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
I didn't have any drugs on then. I just had a couple of beers with my missus, so it wasn't a mad night that night, but I said to her this...
Well, that's sort of similar for me. So I stopped taking cocaine on the 17th, and then I'd reached out to Break Free, but it was sort of like starting the new year, like a new intake. Basically,
just see your mic.
Yeah.
Put it that way. Rather than
There we go.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
So you want it sort of
Facing it.
so yeah. So it needs to go that way a bit. So yeah, just undo it a little bit, mate. So undo them both. Screw them both
That's
back.
tight now, that is.
Yeah. So loosen them up. Both of them.
Technical.
Yeah.
It is technical. You should just be able to bend it down like that.
Yeah. So you loosen them and then,
Why is that? Oh, that's it. There we go.
and then yeah, tighten them up. We'll leave that in because it shows how amateur we are.
There we go.
New microphones and all that.
Yeah. New bit of kit.
Sound, mate.
Where
That's
was
cool.
I?
That's cool.
Yeah, so I finished...
Better?
Is that better?
Yeah.
Class.
I last took cocaine on the 17th. I'd made the decision to stop, but then I was off work that Christmas, so I went down to my dad's, stayed at my dad's over the Christmas, and it was just... I was still drinking, and it was absolute carnage, because my addiction wanted the cocaine, but I was just giving it alcohol. So I was in the pub 24th, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day through to Boxing Day, kicking off, trying to fight, and just not being very nice. And then I messaged Break Free again and got into a meeting on the 28th. And everything, when I was driving there, I was having all these thoughts like, oh, you can't go up to Liverpool, you've got different accents, and none of them will be as bad as you, there'll be no one there, and like all this just negative talk, which pretty quickly recognised was my addiction, trying to stop me from going to where I wanted to go to get help. And then sat in the room, and Mick, the guy that was taking the meeting, said, like, you are not your addiction, and that voice in your head is your addiction when it's talking about drinking and drugs. And from there is where I started learning the techniques that Break Free use in the Rational Recovery book. It's worked a treat. It's incredible.
I read Rational Recovery before. Like I said to you before, I've learned about 12 steps, smart recovery, rational recovery, intuitive recovery. I've sort of gone through them all to see and sort of picked little pieces for what would work for me. But inevitably, it was AVRT was probably the best tool that I used.
Yeah.
The more I've studied the brain, so there's 3 parts of the brain that I learned called the triune model. So we have the reptilian brain at the bottom, which is sort of where your muscles are controlled, your heartbeat, and things like that. And then you have the limbic system, which is your emotional brain. And then you have the neocortex, or the prefrontal cortex, which is your rational brain. Yeah. So the limbic system is, a lot of the time when we'd use narcotics or alcohol, it was through emotion, whether that's happy, sad, whatever. So there's another book behind you there called The Chimp Paradox.
Yeah.
And it's about the emotion, naming your emotion. So naming the emotional part of your brain, calling it the chimp. Oh, my chimp's talking. And AVRT is a very similar process where you name your addiction.
He calls it the beast.
Yeah. That's
in the book, he calls it the beast.
I call mine Voldemort.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I just call mine it whenever it speaks.
Yeah.
Bang.
As long as you're naming it, you could call it fucking Jeff. You know what I mean? But it's about dissociating from the emotional state, isn't it?
Separating yourself, isn't it, from it?
So what did you learn then? What did Break Free teach you?
So, like, the first part of it, separation. Like I just said, like, if a thought or an image in my head is drink or drugs, then it's not me, it's my addiction. And then I was on the program, so I had support network, had a WhatsApp group, voiced any thoughts of drinking and taking drugs into that WhatsApp group. And then fast forward in the tape, being able to like recall where my addiction takes me to, like how fast I can do that now is if I do have a thought of drinking, taking drugs, bang, I can take it to, being on the side of bridges, suicidal, been in my front room crying, hoping to get help. You know what I mean? I can take it there and take it through the steps of that. So that instantly squashes that thought.
It's about getting it back into the neocortex.
Because it like my addiction never offers me that. It never offers me like Googling how to make nooses online. It'll always offer me a nice sunny day having a drink. It'll never show me the ending that I end up getting. It'll just show you the sort of start. That's how it works for me. And then a couple of other tools that I use. Everything that I did in addiction, I've got written down. It's like a book.
Journal.
Yeah. So everything I've got, and then I read that. Tend to take like 3 points from it each day in the morning, and then I've got Box of Joy is what it's called, which is I don't think that's in the Rational Recovery book. I think that's something Break Free added to the program. So then you can compare. You can take the 3 things or however many you choose to read off your list of pain and all the shit that you're doing in addiction, and then compare to like, getting promotions at work, getting a relationship with my family and trust, being able to travel the world, finding new hobbies. So I can compare which one do I want, and that starts my day off. Like if I can start my day off with that comparison, then the addiction in my brain has got no chance.
Yeah. So what that's called anchoring.
Yeah.
Anchoring into a positive state of emotion. So the addiction and the positive. So when you're talking there, you have the addiction, which is the negative anchor. Then you have the touring the world, watching UFC, which is the pot, or your partners, or your family, or your career. That's anchoring into a positive state, both in the same part of the brain. But what it does, it'll anchor into the positive emotion, and then you're able to carry on your day then, operating rationally, positively, healthily. And I think it's people, as human beings, right? I speak to a lot of people now. Not just on the podcast, on WhatsApp on a daily basis. I get a lot of messages from social media and stuff. And as human beings, mate, we'll overcomplicate everything. But one of the biggest things I've learned is when people ask me for help, I've only learned this in the last couple of weeks, they'll tell you everything they need to know about everything they want to be in the first 20 seconds. So I was speaking to a guy the other night, and he's into podcasting, and he said, I don't know which direction I want to take the podcasting in, but I want to go deeper, more raw, more truthful, talk about mental health. And I said, okay, so what's the answer? And he was like, I don't know. But when I say it to you now, he's giving me the answers like that.
Straight away.
And that's what we do as humans. But because we're operating out of the limbic system, the addictive brain, or the chimp,
It's like self-doubt.
you just don't, you don't even hear the words that you're saying a lot of the time. So we generalize, we distort, we delete. And that's what we do. The more I'm learning about this, I listen to people talk, and it's like, fucking hell, they don't even know what we're saying. So you said before, right, about patterns. As human beings, that's what we are. We're just a computer. That's what the head of the brain is. And we've got unconscious patterns. So you wake up in the morning, I'd guarantee you 99.9% of the time you'll do the same thing every morning, whether it's positive or negative, right? You brush your teeth with the same hand, you'll put your socks on right foot, or left foot, right foot, all the time without knowing it, right? And my missus made a valid point to me that addiction, I say addiction, I've been told not to use that word by my mentor, my addictive state, because addiction isn't an object, it's not something you can just box, right? So he said to me, use the word cocaine addict.
Right, okay.
So when I was a cocaine addict, it was as unconscious as brushing my teeth.
Yeah.
And that's scary, that.
Yeah. It's with you seeing cocaine addict there on just in that sentence, I remember early on not so I was called, I think in work someone had called me an addict or cokehead, and it was just like boof, like it sent me on a massive I was in fight mode. I was like, straight on the defensive. I'm not this, I'm not that. And it took some time for me to get used to. Yeah, I'm in a recovery service, so actually I've got an addiction. So I was a cocaine addict, and I think a lot of people don't understand that I was also in addiction for drinking as well. Yeah. And the sort of stigma is like, oh, it's great that you stopped doing drugs. Can you still have a drink? And it's like, I can still have a drink, but this is where I end up if I have a drink. I think one of the things I would say, if someone said to me now, after spending like 2.5, whatever it is, years in recovery, if you said to me now, here's a pill, you can take the pill, and in the future you'll be able to drink and you'll never do cocaine again, I wouldn't take it.
No, mate.
I wouldn't. Like, there's too much on offer. Like, just even now when I speak to people and they're like, oh, I've been out last night and I've had a hangover, I know I'm never gonna have one of them ever again. One of them days just doing nothing. Yeah. That's my choice, because I'll never drink or use again. And that's one of the rewards for me, like not feeling like shit.
So I have this conversation quite a lot, right? People say you're in recovery for the rest of your life. I disagree. I'm not in recovery now. I'm in discovery. That's how I see myself. So I'll play again. Everybody's different, right? You take a muscle in the gym, you lift weights, you break the muscle down. Mm-hmm. You need nutrition to rebuild it. It recovers, but inevitably it grows. It becomes bigger than what it once was.
Yeah.
And people say to me, well, you must be in recovery because you can't drink and take drugs again. I was like, why would I want to? If you burnt yourself in a fire, right? If you put your hand in the fire on purpose, would you do it again?
Totally get where you're coming from. But what if you pulled your muscle? What if something like say you're building, you're like callousing the muscle in recovery? Surely you're always doing that, aren't you?
What do you mean?
Do you know what I mean? So
it's growing though, right?
Yeah.
And is that recovery or is that growth? Because to me, recovery is to get to a place in your life that you once were. That's recovery. So you're there, you drop, and you get back to there. Do you believe you're under where you used to be, or do you?
No, I believe I'm above it.
So is that recovery or is that growth?
Yeah, it's growth because of my recovery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I believe I was in recovery for a long time, probably 6 or 7 months. And when people say it, it's a common theme, right? Where people say, well, you can never drink and take drugs again. Well, I probably could. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of going through addiction and recovery, right?
I get where you're coming from, but I think for me, I will always say, because it's something I've done, it's something I'm proud of, and everything I get going forward now in my life is because I went into recovery and I've not completed it. Like, there's always growth. But without my recovery and being in recovery, there's no growth.
Yeah.
So that's my
analogy that I was taught by the guy who's mentoring me. He says you're working all day. You're in the garden. You're dirty.
Yeah.
You jump in the bath, clean yourself off. You get out the bath. Would you stand next to the bathtub for the rest of your life, or would you carry on?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
And for me personally, again, this is just my own opinion. It's a limiting belief to say I am in recovery because I'm so much better than what I once was as a human being. And I spent a time in recovery because I was a fucking wreck, mate. Yeah. I was a wreck.
We all were.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like our stories of when we were in addiction are probably really similar.
Yeah,
all
definitely.
doing the same sort of things.
Yeah.
And
self-destruct, right?
Yeah. And like at the same time, we're sat here now talking and I could say 90% of our stories when we were using would be the same. My addiction used to convince me that there was absolutely no one out there like me.
Yeah.
I was the only person in the world that was sat on my own with the curtains drawn, with a TV on mute, drinking and taking drugs.
Mad, isn't it?
And like we said before about the amount of things going on with suicide now, addiction's a massive part of it, and I don't think it's talked about enough.
Absolutely.
When people mention suicide, because I was in a state at one point, and I remember I was on the sofa at my mum's, and I can't remember what had gone on, but I was saying I need to go to the doctors, depression and all this and the usual bullshit. Rang the doctors, they couldn't get me in. Rang the doctors back and said, listen, you don't get me in, I'm going to kill myself today. Like, so I that was where I was at mentally. But I'd been to the doctors before that moment and told them that I was suffering with anxiety and depression. But what I never told them was I was doing cocaine every 2 to 3 days. So they were prescribing me with medicine, pills, whatever they were.
Citrulline.
And it was totally disrupting the way everything that was going on inside my head. It was just super high 1 minute from the cocaine, back to normal, and then depressed, so I'll take antidepressants back up there, and then more cocaine. So it was just all bouncing around.
So what happens there is when you take the cocaine, obviously you get the massive dopamine hit.
Yeah.
But then obviously you get the come down where your dopamine level will drop below normal.
Yeah.
But then you're taking antidepressants, which is serotonin, and your serotonin levels will then shoot up.
Yeah.
So you're massively dependent on chemicals.
Yeah.
And you're probably out of whack all the time. So like for me, when I stopped taking cocaine, I was also massively addicted to Zoplicon sleeping tablets.
Right, okay.
Like, I'd eat them like sweets. And when I got with my missus, mate, she took everything off me. And for like 4 months, I couldn't sleep. And I'd wake up crying. I'd like an hour's sleep, and then I'd wake up crying like a child. Mate.
Yeah.
It was just a huge chemical imbalance in brain, body, mind, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And it took a long time. And that's where I say I was in recovery. Now I'm in discovery. I genuinely believe that I'm not in recovery no more, because the stuff that I've done this year has been something I've never experienced in my life. So again, mindsets, horses for courses, each to their own.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things I've learned, mate, is we just need to be kinder to ourselves. Don't sit next to the bathtub for the rest of your life. Unplug it and walk off. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
You don't have to. People. I spoke to a lady. She'd been alcohol free for 15 years. And she said to me, my name's Alice. She won't mind me saying, my name's Alison. I'm an alcoholic. So I said to me, prove to me that you're an alcoholic. She was like, what do you mean? I said, prove it. How can you prove to me today that you're an alcoholic? And she said,
she's not the same person
she
was
said, I don't
15
drink
years ago.
no more. I said, so how are you an alcoholic?
Yeah.
You may have struggled with alcoholism, but you're not an by giving I am statements. So human being, right? The word being, that means that it's an identity.
Yeah.
Me. I'm a human being. My name is Lee. Identity statement. I am in recovery is also an identity statement. You're given power to identity.
Yeah.
Therefore, it becomes your world. You'll always be in that mindset. By saying, my name's Lee, I struggled with addiction, but now I'm in discovery, just allows the mind to look a bit more. That's all it does.
Yeah.
And that's not an ego thing, you know. It's just being kinder to ourselves, because my missus says it to me all the time, like, why are we so nasty to ourselves? And we are, right?
Yeah.
So even yourself, you'd be the same as me. All the pain and suffering that you've caused in other people's lives, or even in your own life, or the people that you love, you will identify by the negativity that we've created, when it was never your pain and suffering to carry in the first place. You know, actions and accountability speak louder than any apology you'll ever hear.
Yeah.
You're living life at accountability now.
Well, that's the thing, is what I've done is got my life back, but then I've given my nieces and uncle, my sister, a brother, my mum and dad, their son back. Do you know what I mean? And
Love that.
that's the most powerful thing. Like, I'm back now. Like, you know what I mean? And nothing will ever take that off me. Nothing.
The statement, I am back. If you're in recovery, how can you be back?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, do you?
Just, yeah, cool. I like that. So who is Zak? Who is Zak? If we were to sit here now and say, who is Zak as a human being right here, right now, today? Who is he?
Hardworking. Hardworking, empathetic, loving, caring, gracious, resilient. Not bad words, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was none of them things when I was in addiction, so, and like you say, sometimes it is hard to just talk good about yourself.
It is, mate.
It is. Do you
Well,
know
how
what I mean?
powerful does it feel when you
it's
do
great.
it?
Yeah, it's great. It is.
And there's nothing wrong with it. We just...
No, and like we're meant to,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you can't say those words.
no.
It's like
if I was to sit here and say to you now, give me 10 horrible things that you've ever done in your life,
fuck it,
you'd go, bum, 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 bum.
fire them off. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
But if I said to you, give me 10 truly amazing things that you've ever done with your life, you'd get there, but you'd have to think long and hard about it.
Yeah.
Why? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I know why, but do it. Be kind to yourself.
It's like going off over my time. So my time on the program was 8 months. Didn't go on holiday. I always go back to holidays, going away, because I never went on holiday in addiction. Like, I never did. Well, I did, but
Well,
they
that's your
weren't
reward,
holiday.
right?
I going on holiday. It was just chaos. So like 3 years now, got family in America, travelled the world to see them. UFC mad, as you've already mentioned.
Yeah.
Been to Abu Dhabi, watched the UFC there. Been to Vegas twice. Off to New York in November.
Nice.
Found something that's sort of... I used to enjoy watching the fighting during at my time in addiction, but I didn't watch any of the fights. It's just an excuse for me. It's just an excuse for my addiction. But now, like, it's my passion, which has worked nicely alongside my recovery, training, and like finding the right circles.
Yeah.
Like, you go into an MMA gym, it's hard, it humbles you, but it teaches you discipline. And that same discipline that I use in my recovery,
You'll get there.
I will get there, yeah. I use it in MMA and I use it in life as well, discipline.
Yeah. Accountability, honesty, discipline, integrity.
Yeah.
You know, accountability and honesty were the two most important things for me. I was a lying bastard for me most of my life. My adult life, I was a lying bastard for my whole life.
Manipulative.
Yeah. But this year, man, you know, it took me a while, but I'm honest, you know. I don't lie no more, which is beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant. Question: Where do you believe your addiction stems from? Where do you believe that inability to regulate yourself stems from?
I think, so for me, like, I started off drinking probably like everyone else, like the later years of school. It was sort of, I remember at one point being against drugs and then started taking drugs and I wasn't against drugs anymore. I was going out, drinking and taking drugs probably from the age of 15, 16, and then into the like nightclubs and stuff like that. And like, for me, I'd say it was like, there was good years, there was good times. I don't think anything happened. I just think the more regularly I was doing drugs, it just all sort of combined together. Mum and dad split up in my early 20s. Drinking probably got worse around then. And me using got worse around then. That's not their fault. That's me not being able to understand what emotions were and choosing to drink and take drugs. There's no excuse. That was something my addiction used. And then it just sort of, the last 10 years, I'm 34 now, so the last 10 years I was drinking wasn't fun. It just wasn't fun. I can't say that there was one specific event that said, right, after that point I was in a really bad place. But
how did your mum and dad splitting up affect you as a person?
Yeah, it did affect me. I felt like I didn't know where I belonged. All I'd ever known was like, you know, me. My sister lives in America, so me, my mum and dad in the house, and that changed quickly, and I didn't know where to go. I wasn't in a very good job at the time. Hated going to work. Very victim mode. Why is all this happening to me? So turned to drink. Well, it did get worse after that, to be fair. Like mid-20s. So I didn't know where I was, and then got my own house, which was very lucky to get. Thought that getting the house was the answer because I'd have my own space, but my addiction got worse because I was on my own. So mum and dad splitting up did have an effect on my life, because like it does with anyone, something like that. It's
trauma, right?
It's a traumatic thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to deal with it. Bottled everything up, and I found it like I stayed with my dad, and then felt a bit trapped. So was basically working and living in my room and not really doing anything with my life. Just time was passing by. Had a lot of resentment towards my mum because she was the one that left the house. Wrong. Totally wrong. Wasn't there for me mum through some bad times for her because of my addiction, something that hopefully now I'll make up for. And I just wasn't involved. I was just on my own, doing the same sort of shit all the time, and it seemed to go on for years, just passed by so quick.
Fly.
And then it was like, right, got my own space. This should make things better. But ultimately, a lot of the money that I had to do at my house, which needed renovating, went on drinking drugs. Chose someone that I shouldn't have chose to do the work. Someone that I used to drink and use with. So all the money went on drugs. But yeah, that was a turning point in my life. But they're both in great places now.
Good.
And so am I. So
and I think it's important to ask those types of questions because a lot of the time we speak about addiction and like it's just appeared out of nowhere. And, you know, a lot of people I know will drink and take drugs when they're younger, and they just, as we grow up, that, you know, they'll sort of grow out of it. A lot of my friends have done that. They've drunk 17, 18, 19, 20, then they'll take cocaine. And then when they get to their mid-20s, they're doing, quote unquote, the normal things, buying houses, getting promotions, doing really, enjoying life.
I used to compare myself like to sort of friends that I was in school with who were doing really well, and that would be another thing that my addiction would use.
Another excuse.
Yeah, and it would be like these people going back over the years. I was doing drugs with them.
Yeah.
Why aren't they doing drugs with me now? Why am I the only one left?
And I genuinely.
Mike's gone.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Technology.
Gone.
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
No, it's not right there.
I flicked it off, maybe.
That's better now. I think it's better there, mate.
Okay.
Go try again.
1, 2, 3.
Back in.
Fucking microphones. And I genuinely believe, like I said to you before, you know, people say addiction's a disease, whatever. I believe it's a psychological and emotional response to human suffering. Addiction, we're talking now. When we talk habitual use or weekend, you know, Friday night, that's not addiction. Addiction is when you fall into that repetitive, negative pattern, you can't stop it, and it has detrimental effects to your life. That's what addiction is. And I believe there is always a reason. Like when we talk the disease model, and that's why it's called a disease model, it's in the is it the DNS or whatever it's called, the medical profiling of diseases. It's in there as a disease. It's been in there since a disease since the 50s. But in the 50s and 60s, they said being gay was also a disease. So, you know, we need to tread carefully there. But when we say addiction is a disease, that takes away the person's life.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I've just caught this disease out of nowhere, right? It takes away the individuality of a human being, the things that you've been through as a human, the things that I went through, the things that Callum's been through, the things that we all go through as human beings. That's important to understand, because without that, we are just addiction then, right?
If it was just a disease as well, there'd be a medicine to solve the disease.
And that's it. I've had no medical intervention. You know, I've not worked a 12-step program. You know, and that's sort of the standard route to go down. And I've met some brilliant people in 12 steps. You know, but I believe you need to dig deeper, soul searching. And once you've done that soul searching and found identity and purpose, that was important. You said that before, because finding purpose creates a goal to move forward to in life. Whereas when we're in addiction, and especially in recovery, we're running away from a problem. That's all we're doing. We're firefighting and constantly running from this dark shadow that's chasing us around the streets. But when you find purpose, you're then moving forward.
Yeah.
Rather than running away. Do you know what I mean? And that's the most purpose. So I've got purpose statements up on my wall here that I speak about. So NLP that we spoke about before, there's a lot of purpose and identity work, behaviors, beliefs and skills. And it's really important that we find these things, because without them, we're constantly running away for the rest of our lives. Then you're in recovery for the rest of your life. If you can find purpose, you can find identity, then you're able to grow and become a better human being. And it sounds like, you know, that's what you're doing, you know?
It is. And like, God, it's, we were saying before, like for yourself, now you're doing this and you're talking about recovery and how mad that is that this time last year you're still drinking and using. And like, for me, it's crazy that I'm sat here talking to you, like having a conversation about addiction recovery, life, and I like the work. I like listening to the audio books and stuff like that, and just taking in different opinions and stuff. And it's important. The work never stops. Never ever stops. I can always get better.
Me
we
too.
all can.
Absolutely.
We all can. Like,
that's growth, right?
yeah.
That again, that, like you've explained it perfectly there. Recovery is to get to a point I once was. There was no such thing as growth in my addiction.
No.
There was no such thing. Now I'm fucking hell, mate. I say it all the time. I can explain the process of a neuron under the influence of cocaine. I'd never been able to do that 12 months. I went on a podcast with a guy. He's like an OG of the recovery world from New York. He invited me onto his podcast the other week. So he was in the 12-step program in the 80s. So he doesn't even say sober now. He says alcohol and a drug-free for I think it was like 25 or 30 years. And when we talk time, right, we talk time as somebody's only been in recovery for 6 months or 12 months or 2 years or 5 years. I'm not even 12 months, right? But he said to me, I want to prove to people now that time means nothing. So he said, explain to me everything you genuinely believe and you're passionate about in my discovery now. So I explained my whole recovery from the moment I stopped using, because I made a conscious choice while I was still drinking and using. I'm stopping in 2 weeks' time. I'm going to learn psychology, neuroscience, NLP, all these things, and I'm doing it. And he said, how long have you been out of your addictive stage? And I said, not even 12 months. And he was like, and his words, not mine, he said, but your mindset is just as good as mine. So time means fuck all. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And I see, on like TikTok, these people, and they've got like day counters and stuff, and it's just, to me, it's like, what if you're never gonna take a drink or a drug again? Why are you counting?
I don't know how many days. I know the dates because it was Christmas.
Yeah,
I only had a couple. I think we got drunk, but I know what date it was because
I think everyone knows the date.
Yeah,
if you've got a date, you know the date.
Yeah, my grandfather died on the 26th of December 2019. So around that time of the year, obviously it's Christmas as well. Yeah. So it's easy to pick that number out of my head. But days, I haven't got a clue.
No.
But Tony Robbins made a good point on one of his seminars where he said the only reason you count is to use it as an excuse the next time you fail. Mm-hmm. So people can say, I'm 300 days sober. And again,
if you're counting, it's just what's the word? It's like I can't think of the word I'm looking for. It's like a final destination for you. Like
where are you counting to?
Who's planning? Is it you or?
And like he said on there, I was 300 days. So the next time you could say, well, I did 305 days this time. That's a positive.
Exactly. It's a future plan, isn't it?
Yeah. And again, that's not for everybody. That's a subjective comment in itself, a generalised comment. But for me, I don't need to count. It's like,
but like we said at the start, if it works, if it works, then fair enough.
Course,
like if it works, then fair enough.
So Wrexham lad originally.
Yeah, Wrexham lad.
Whereabouts?
Bangor-on-Dee.
Oh yeah,
posh part.
Is there such thing?
Yeah.
Childhood, everything sort of normal, steady.
Yeah, normal. Sister went off travelling the world when she's 10 years older than me, so she went off travelling. Nice time in school. Nice village growing up in. Played football like we all did. And then started off. Well, I went to sixth form after secondary school, which was just like basically a year of watching TV in the common room and not actually doing anything. And then went into making furniture, got an apprenticeship in wood machinery, did that. And then that company went bust, so I got a little part-time job at Tesco and then worked my way up there. I was a manager there for 5 years. And then one thing led to another. I left Tesco got a decent job, and then failed the medical
Cocaine.
drug test.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know
so
how that feels.
that was one of the low points, to be fair, of my life. Having to ring my mum up and say, "Can you come and get me?" Or I'm on my way home. I think it was. I'm on my way home. Why? It was the second day. I said I just failed the medical, and I knew I was going to fail it. I think I was the only person that took 3 goes to piss in the piss test. I couldn't bring myself to do it because I knew what was coming. And then I had to. One of my dad's mates had got me in at this place, this factory, and it was a good job. So I had to lie to my dad for the next month, pretend that I was working there. And then I'm at a company in Chirk now, Kronospan, been there 6 years. Yeah. So
they put. I was in Kimberley Clark's here, so we've just been made redundant.
Right.
And Kronospan put a load of signs out. The day we got told we were getting made redundant, mate, they put a load of signs outside the gate, literally by ear, and saying we're hiring. It was like, fucking hell.
On the ball.
Yeah. I've moved now. I'm in a paper.
It's a good job. It gets me to where I need to go. I'd love to do something similar to what you're doing here. Talk about MMA and that sort of thing. Like you said earlier on, why not? Why not do that?
I'll be renting this out, mate. I'm gonna use it.
Yeah.
50 quid and that 50 quid for half an hour. I'll be renting this out for.
I might have to get involved in that.
In Chester, mate, it's £1,000 an hour, £1,000 an episode.
So you can't do anything, can you, for that?
No,
But
I mean, so going back to the addictive stage there, mate. What was you mentioned before? There was times where you were thinking about killing yourself, taking your own life. What for you? Don't like using the word rock bottom.
No, me.
Because I don't believe there is such a thing. Because I hit the so-called rock bottom and continue to take drugs.
And then you hit another one.
Yeah.
And then you hit another one.
Yeah.
And then another one.
Yeah. So where would you say was the most difficult time for you, and how did you rectify that?
The most difficult time for me was probably the last 6 months. It was rough. It was rough when my mum and dad split up.
Yeah.
It was rough then, but the last 6 months. So I lost a very good friend of mine, coming up to 6 years ago. Drinking, taking drugs, committed an overdose, purposely.
He did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So when Jason committed suicide, he left letters for his family and his kids and all of us as friends. And I am grateful to be able to look back, because I can compare what I was doing at the end of my time in addiction to the last probably 6 to 8 weeks of Jason's life. And it was really similar. So crashing cars, fighting, just in the house for days. On my 4 days off, because of working shifts, on my 4 days off, it was just like, right, lock the doors, not going out, drinking and using. So these were similar patterns to what he did before he died. So I recognised that if I carried on, would it be much longer? Probably not. So that was my sort of rock bottom, I think, recognising that, hang on a minute, I'm not far off from getting to the point where Jason got to before he took his life. So that's...
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people who struggle with addiction, again, this is just a subjective, generalised comment, but there's always a time for all of us where we think, life shit, I'm going to try and kill myself. I've spoken about it myself. You know, I tried it. I ate an ounce of cocaine, and then ate it, and then loads of Zoplico, and I just sat in the room for like 2 days, and I think the body just gave up, and it was like, do you know what, mate? I used to say that I wasn't bothered. I was. I just didn't realise that I was bothered. You know, at the moment, I'd say, oh, I didn't care. One, I feel as though that's a very negative message for me to send out to people, that I didn't care that I wanted to be here. Because I think deep down, when you do a bit of soul searching, you do fucking care.
And like, I remember getting to the point where I'd have been sat on the side of a bridge, and I didn't care, I wouldn't be sat here now.
Yeah.
If I didn't care, that I would have jumped off. But I think when you get to that point, so my addiction would have took me there. I've been drinking and using. I'm not being rational. And then when something that's, hang on a minute, this is life threatening here.
Yeah.
The rational kicks back in, and it's like, hang on a minute. Yeah. I've got a family. All right, life's fucking shit because I'm drinking and using, but I've got a family. I've got a job. I've got
gratitude.
Yeah, I've got a good life. Do you know what I mean? So I did care, and I think sometimes it took being sat on the side of a bridge to get to the point of realising, hang on a minute, there's more to live for than just ending it because this fucking thing in my head saying, right, that's ultimately where my addiction wanted me to go. And I think that's where everyone wants them to go. You know, it's.
My missus, we were talking about it the other night, because I get added to these lives on social media when people are speaking about trauma, because say I'm doing a training in trauma-informed psychology, and she said to me, I wonder how many people who take their own lives are struggling with addiction. And I don't think it's something the NHS, especially, or the UK or the Americans, can actually pin down and give an exact number, but 60% it was. What I found, 60% of people who take their own lives are struggling with an addiction. So you made a very good point before, where people say I'm struggling with depression or whatever, and to them that is a depressive state, right? You know, when you're smashed out your head on or come down off drugs and alcohol, your body's depleted of every bit of goodness that it can provide. But somebody asked me a while back, you know, what can I do to help my depression? And I said, eat right, train. Even if that's walking in the woods, you're out, you're moving, you're in nature. You don't have to go to the gym or smash a punch bag or lift weights. Even if it's walking your dog, that's training.
Horses for courses, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some people like to walk up a mountain. Some people like to do what I do, or MMA, or
and that's it. But for the people who are genuinely feeling like shit, you know, they probably haven't got the motivation to go and smash at the wood gym, or So you know, even if it's something as going for a little jog, you know, around the field behind your house or wherever that may be, you know. And then come back to me in 6 weeks when you've done all them, and then tell me how you feel. Because I genuinely, I did it. You know, at one point in my life, I was on sertraline and depressed as fuck all the time, and again, patterns. Right, I'm still not there yet. I've still got these negative patterns, should we say, where I can get a little bit lazy, I can procrastinate a little bit. But when I'm on it, and I feel good. You know, you wake up, you do everything right. And the guy, my mentor, John. I'll call you my friend as well before you see your ass. A lot of the time, the way we wake up in the morning and the pattern we follow in the morning is how we will the rest of the day will follow. So if you wake up negatively, it's extremely difficult then to have a positive day. And if you wake up positively, it's easier to have a positive day, right? And something that I need to learn, because I'll do it, mate, when I get up and I'll fucking doom scroll for 20 minutes.
That's the thing. I think, like, a lot of the time when people wake up, if you say, like, catch the first three thoughts, which is one of the sort of things I did with Break Free, catch the first three thoughts. So my clock's going off at 4:45 to get up for work. They're not fucking positive thoughts.
No. Yeah.
It's like,
fuck work.
Fuck me, it's freezing out there. Fuck work, stay in bed. So if you're just like, right, fucking carry on with that, and then pick your phone up and start scrolling straight away, which is something I'm guilty of.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are.
And it's something I'm trying to get better at, but when your alarm goes off on your phone, you have to pick your phone up to turn the phone off. It's a challenge. But like I said, if I start my day off and I can go, right, these negative thoughts, jot them down on a piece of paper, read me list of shit, my list of pain, and then compare my gratitude, it sets me off to a winner. Do you know what I mean? I've got that stuff on my phone, so if I'm running a bit late for work, which I usually am at that time of day, I can get into it, I can do it over a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever.
What was the best part?
Recovery.
Yeah. What was the moment where you sat there and you were like, fucking, this was all worth it?
Do you know what? I feel like that every day.
Nice.
I do. Honestly, I do. I can't go. I've done some really good things, like with Break Free. Some of the like little trips we've done camping, and because it's a community of people. So I've had some really good memories, but for that moment, I just think it's every day. Like,
Nice.
I don't live how I used to live anymore, and that's enough for me. Like,
what does the next? How can I word this? If you could put yourself or plant your feet into the most beneficial, positive version of you, what does that look like? Who would Zak want to be? What's Zak's future self look like?
not working shifts, following my passions, and not engaging with the negativity around that. So quite often I'll be like, right, I'm going to do this today, and don't do it.
Procrastination.
Yeah. So work to do there with that.
Is there a fear attached to that procrastination?
I think it's a fear of like embarrassment or failure. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't make these videos. No one's watching them. You've got no following.
What does failure look like?
Well, there's no such thing, is there?
Easy, innit?
Everyone starts somewhere, don't they? You know what I mean? Like what you've got going on, you've got to have started somewhere. I tell myself this all the time, and then still engage with it.
There's a presupposition in NLP, which is like basically an unwritten rule or unwritten law, and it's there is no failure, only feedback.
Yeah.
And so, like Michael Jordan won 6 NBA champions. I love basketball.
Yeah.
Won 6 NBA championships, but when you ask him what's the most important thing he's ever done, he'll tell you he missed over 6,500 shots.
Yeah.
To win 6, you know. And again, that's not me telling you how to suck eggs or egotistical, because I procrastinate myself.
Yeah.
I had this conversation probably last week with John, my mentor, my friend, and we were talking about procrastination of me starting up this. It's not even an addiction recovery business anymore. It's a fucking growth business, because I believe that there's so much more that I can attach to it beyond the recovery, right? And
I think, going back to what you said, like I sometimes sort of sit and watch people talking about recovery and addiction, and they're doing really well. They've got quite a big following, and think, and I can talk about it as well, but I don't as much as I should. So coming and speaking to you today, it's something that I'm passionate about. So I want to start following the things I'm passionate about more.
that's good.
And
again, when you use the word like passion, like purpose, like interests, and they're the things that you should follow.
Yeah.
That's when you listen to your soul, you listen to your identity, and when you're using words like that, that's where you should perk up and go, okay, what does that feel like? What does that look like? What does that sound like? In 12 months' time, if I was to follow my passion, how describe it, And that's what NLP sort of is. It's about the language of the brain and moving. So people talk about spirituality a lot, right? And think it's this universe. And I heard a quote, the universe doesn't give a fuck about you because it's got no fucks to give. It's a universe, right? Spirituality is about living life at identity. Who Lee is, who Callum is, who Zak is. That's spirituality. Purpose. Mm-hmm. Find your purpose and live at that. That's spirituality.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. You've used purpose and a few times there. So I think you need to explore those avenues.
Yeah, I think I'd say that, and then I think like we talked about, where did my addiction stem from, and where does some of my behaviours stem from, and stuff like that. That is the work I'd like to do as well, and figure out, right, let's go back and find out why sometimes I am the way I am.
Yeah.
So,
and that's possibly something I could help you with.
Digging in a bit.
Yeah, because patterns and behaviours, and there's certain processes and questions that you can ask people. And it's good that you say that, because a lot of people aren't willing to go into the past. It's too painful, right?
Yeah.
Or for whatever reason. But I say it all the time, in order to move forward, you have to address the past. It's inevitable. It's a must. Because without understanding where the root cause is, you'll never figure out, the patterns, processes, behaviours, habits, whatever you want to call them, they all stem from certain places. And by understanding them, you're able to recognise them more, like addiction.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of patterns and unconscious patterns that we don't even know we've got, but we have, and that's something that I'm exploring at the moment, and it's important, right? Because that is one of the key parts of growth. Is I don't want to be able to recognize myself, not for any negative reasons, for a fucking positive reason. In 10 years' time, I want to look. I've got this future image of who I want to be. It's all written down in the purpose work that I've done, and he's a cool dude.
I suppose for me, it'd look some like when I've been away watching the UFC. You sort of started bumping into the same people at the events that work in the media, and that's something that I've looked at and thought, oh, I'd love to do that.
Why not, man? You're there.
You know what I mean? Like going around interviewing people, following it around the world. That's another passion, obviously. So there we go.
There's three.
There's
3 that you can take away, isn't it? So, hey, listen, I wish you nothing but the best, and it was a pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah, definitely.
I enjoyed it, mate, and we can do it again one day.
Of course we can.
Hopefully, the next time you come back, you're pals with all the UFC lot, and we can get them on the podcast.
Well, hopefully, when I come back, you'll have seen a lot more of me online, and I will be banging some stuff
take
on
take the hopefully out of that phrase.
Yeah.
The next time you see me, I will have done a lot more online.
Will do, yeah.
Nice one, mate.
Yeah, cool. Cheers.
Cool. Sound.
Thank you.